guys, and welcome back to The Verdict. To round out the season and the year, we're going to be looking back at some of our personal favorite movies from 2023. We'll be back right after this. Hey guys, I'm Rashaun, and today with me are my two beautiful co-hosts.
Hi, I'm Michael. Hey, I'm Clark.
And today, the first movie we're going to be talking about in our recap that I chose is going to be Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It stars Tom Blythe, Rachel Starr Zegler, and Josh Rivera. So let's play that trailer.
What are the Hunger Games for?
Are you coming to the tree?
The Hunger Games, they're to punish the districts. Those tributes don't have a choice.
Your role is to turn these children into spectacles, not survivors.
So we both be free.
We're live!
So now, we'll just get into our review of the movie. So, what'd you guys think of it?
I think it was a pretty good prequel of the movie. It's kind of fun to see the Hunger Games before all the technology and all the things that they put into the work of the Hunger Games. I thought it was an all right movie. So at certain times, it was kind of just them running around the Coliseum, like just killing each other, which is, how Hunger Games is supposed to go. But it was a pretty good movie in my opinion.
I really liked it actually. I think mostly because I went in blind. I didn't know anything about the book, and I thought it was a really interesting perspective to follow Snow, because I thought it was just going to be about Lucy Gray, Rachel Zegler's character.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be another rehash of Katniss's story, just from the trailers, but it completely subverted my expectations, and I had a great time.
Yeah. I actually like that. I like that it was more focusing on Lucy, and because have either one of you seen the other movies before this one, or is this
Oh
the
yeah,
first time?
definitely.
I've watched the first and the second one, but I've lost track of the other ones.
It was just a good comparison, seeing making me think of how Lucy, she is more performer, and how Katniss is more of a fighter in the movie. So you see that kind of differences. And I also liked, I just liked seeing how she was in this movie, especially with the snakes. Oh my God, her and the snakes are just too fun to watch.
That was a great introduction when she put the snake down that one girl's shirt
Yeah,
that she didn't like.
the mayor's daughter, right?
Yes, that was so funny.
I was like, bro. I did love seeing Snow as a younger man, and how he kind of got in the original movies. I felt like he kind of was a bit corrupt, but somewhat understanding. And so I don't know. That's just coming from me. But seeing as how he his origins and stuff from this movie, it was nice. He had all these friends. He came from nothing. Some people I saw this with a friend actually, and I was watching it with him, and he was like, "This dude's just Alexander Hamilton." If you think about it, I'm like, "Shut up, stop talking."
Yeah, you can definitely see his story build, because like you say, he didn't come from anything. He was poor, and he kind of just wanted to do good in life, and things happen. And what I see it from is money and power definitely can corrupt somebody, because at first he was a honorable character, and then he got into, I think he was a soldier, and then when him and Lucy, this is kind of a spoiler, but when him and Lucy ran away, he kind of felt like that wasn't his life that he wanted to do.
Yeah. I will say, the rabies in this movie, that threw me off completely. I'm not gonna lie. I barely understood how that worked.
Yeah, turning it into a zombie.
Yeah, like a zombie infection. I'm still confused on that. I don't get it. But it was still nice to see it. What's her name? The little girl from, I think it was District 7. Her and her brother, the little black girl and her brother, when she was dying because she drank that poison.
Poison water.
Yeah, the poisoned water.
Yeah.
That, I feel like that was somewhat of a mercy killing. just because she was already dying anyways.
Yeah,
She
wasn't
was
gonna
already.
make it.
She had like tuberculosis.
Yeah. The rebellion itself was actually really nice as well. I love that they used the blown up Coliseum that they were originally going to use. They're like, you know what? They're going to kill each other anyways. Let's go ahead and just put them in there. Which I like how it shows that it wasn't like the first actual games was not in a big forest area, like a dome area. Although that kind of, in my opinion, that kind of like lessens the feel of the movie. Because it's like the good thing about being in the wilderness and the woods and stuff like that is like, you know, it's longer, the game's longer drawn out and stuff. If you're a viewer watching this show, watching this like spectacle happen and stuff like that, you're like, oh, this is going to be over in like 15, 20 minutes. We'll get on with it. Whereas the original movies, the Catching Fire, Mockingbird and all that stuff, they took place, I think one of them, they were like a few days, like a week or so, right?
I'm pretty sure this one took a few days too, didn't it?
I'm trying to remember. I want to say
It definitely lasted overnight.
Yeah, it did last overnight, but I don't think it lasted as long as the other ones did.
No, it wasn't as big, but at the same time, you got to remember this is kind of like the introduction of them like expanding and getting like more of a funding due to like sponsorships and like trying to become more marketable for the actual players in the game due to Snow like coming up with that.
Yeah,
And over the course of 65 years, you know.
I'm pretty sure it was like the 10th annual one too. So like,
Yeah.
they didn't have like the popularity then. That
Yeah, they were
have now in,
trying
like,
to
the
make
first
it a
and
bit more
second.
popular. And I want to go back to Snow. Peter Dinklage's character,
He was great.
he was really, I love it when he plays a good, like a really just a kind of jerky villain.
He was bashing Snow.
Exactly. Like I knew that name before he even had a pot to piss in. I'm just like, bro.
I feel like Peter Dinklage is like, he's such a fun actor just to watch because he can play anything. Like what I've known him from is like Elf.
I was gonna say.
The boss from Elf,
Yeah.
or the author or whatever he was.
I know a lot of people love him in Game of Thrones. I have never watched Game of Thrones. I'm never watching it. I'm not. Don't recommend it to me. But you know, I've seen him in. He was really funny in Death in the Funeral with Chris Rock.
I haven't seen that, but I believe you. He's a great actor.
But overall, I loved Rachel Zegler. I'm messing up her name again, but Lucy. Her actually singing in the performance of the movies, it was her actually singing on set. They didn't like re-record her or anything like that.
Really?
Yeah,
That's impressive.
I found that out. They did have to somewhat pre-record it at the end with all the snakes in the Coliseum because it was going to damage her throat if she had done that live performance, which I feel was still nice. Overall, I did enjoy this movie. Is it my favorite movie out of all the Hunger Games movies? No, it's not. I am more of a Catching Fire person, but that's just me. What about for you guys?
Personally, I've gotten a lot of flack for this, but and this may be recency bias, but I have said like I think it's tied with Catching Fire for me, at least right now.
Like I said, I've only watched the first and the second movie, so I don't really know like the whole story. I haven't read the books, but like you said, it definitely. I think it definitely ties along with like the whole story, showing like the whole start or like the beginning of it. So it did its justice.
And I did love showing the start of a rebellion, especially the theme, the song that Katniss sings.
Yes.
I didn't know that. To be honest, I remember very little from the movies, like from the first ones, because I haven't seen them in so long. But like hearing the song turning that into like a little bit of a folk song, it actually makes more sense to me now. So, but in spite of it being my favorite movie of 2023, I do have to list out a few honorable mentions. You know,
Please.
This movie tied heavily with me between Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse because, man, I love that movie so much. The soundtrack, everything was amazing. And honestly, it would hit more for me. I also loved Mortal Kombat Legends Cage Match. It was a story featuring about Johnny Cage meeting up with Natara, and kind of just figuring out this whole mystic world in LA. It also featured, what's his name? I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he played the dentist in Fairly Odd Parents and stuff like that. Gilbert Gottfried. This was his last role, actually. before he passed away, which rest in peace his soul, man. He was a voice of a generation. But it was his last actual film role. And so, yeah. Other than that, it's Cocaine Bear and Mario to me, because like they're not really talking about them too much, but man, they were really good movies. Man, Cocaine Bear especially, man. I can't. I actually might rewatch that later. But moving on now, we're gonna get into Michael's movie. Michael?
So the movie, or kind of the documentary that I picked, was Sound of the Police. It came out in 2023, of course, and it was directed and produced by the very end Stanley Nelson Schoon. But let's watch the trailer.
Imagine if you had an institution where it was almost impossible to be held accountable.
What happened with the police made me scared of them.
No mother should have to bury their child.
Amir Locke was killed in a botched, no-knock warrant situation.
I saw the body cam footage. He's snuffing this man out as he slept.
So this documentary kind of just takes a place about just the history of black police brutality and their violence against African Americans. There's things that they actually bring out in the documentary that are pretty interesting. Like back in the 1800s, they used to have slave patrollers, which were police officers that literally were going around arresting black Americans that even had their own vote, they had their own freedoms, and they would just come and snatch them up just for no reason. It gives justice to the evolution of the awareness of like Black Lives Matter and stuff. Social media definitely did have a big impact on spreading awareness of it. But is there anything you guys think kind of bounced the evolution of it?
Of the whole
movement, like Black Lives Matter and like the awareness of police brutality.
Definitely the showings of just the stories being tossed around of stories such as Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and especially even before then, it's just as it's 2023 now, and as someone just like going through this stuff and just like listening back and also watching it because everybody can see it now, it's kind of just hard,
Yeah, it's kind of like a gray area. We don't want to get age restricted on the verdict here, but it's definitely something that in America we should be able to talk about and speak freely about it.
I will say this: was it hard to watch this too much? Because I didn't get to see it, busy with moving and all that. But was it hard for you to watch this documentary?
Yeah, some of the parts honestly kind of surprised me, like the body cam footage of Amir Locke. He was like a 20-year-old that lived in Minnesota, and they didn't tell him that they were coming in, like when they did the search warrant. They literally unlocked his door. He was asleep at the time, and he just had a gun. He had a gun by his side. They didn't say anything. They didn't tell him to put the gun down. They just shot him in the head. And it's kind of just hard to watch because as being black and individuals in America, it kind of gives like an anxiety of being able to talk to the police.
Exactly,
and,
that fear of never trusting them. You gotta admit, you have that one family member. Every person of minority has that one family member who's like, why are you gonna call the police? They're not gonna be here in less than 5 minutes. They're gonna be here in like an hour from now.
Yeah.
So.
And there was actually a part in the documentary that talks about a police officer that was in the force, I think I can't remember where, but it was somewhere in the South though. They literally had kind of like dedicated officers for black area communities, and like they had a zero tolerance awareness. So like they literally could do anything. They could frisk them, stop them for questioning
without reprimands or anything.
And it's like the body cam footage that they showed when they were interrogating the black people, and when they were just talking to like other races like whites and like Asian people, you can definitely feel like there's a whole different vibe. Like they're intending to do something with this.
Yeah. like I said, it's just kind of hard to kind of see it every now and then. But yeah, Clark, did you get to see it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you know, it is hard to see it in the news, like what feels like more and more every day. And that's what I kind of appreciated about this documentary was that, like you said, it went back like a lot further in time to show you like how far back this goes. Like, when you think of like, you know, police brutality, like, and how them mistreating black people in America, you know, you may think of like these more recent stories, like George Floyd, obviously, but you know, this shows footage from like decades ago, and it just shows you how like deeply rooted this problem is, and like the fact that like nothing has really changed today is that it just shows that like people are like choosing to stay ignorant in a way. That's how I saw it. But yeah, it was rough.
And definitely like the points of like the riots that broke out because of it. Like I think it was the 1960s. I don't really remember the date, but the whole altercation started because an officer pushed a black man and he didn't want to go down like that. So people went over there and started trying to help the black officers, and then like, or not the black officer, but the black man and the police officers kind of just bashed him for it and started like a whole 3-day riot.
Talking about the LA riots. Right
Yeah.
there. Okay, yeah. And actually that brings up another point. You think if this continues, you saw how it was for the George Floyd riots and the Breonna Taylor. If this continues within like if this doesn't stop within the next couple of years, you think the riots are going to be like, one's going to happen like longer than like a month?
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially if this is like something that's going on for centuries. It's kind of like some people might get tired of how they've been going. There's nothing like really being justified for these victims and their families.
Like if we got to cause all this damage to tell you that something ain't right, then I guess
you just have to do it. You
yeah.
know? Exactly. Violence changes everyone's minds about things, so.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, the longer that this still goes on and the longer that the law kind of ignores it, you know, the louder people are going to have to be.
Yeah.
You know?
There was, God, I think his name was Jordan Clark, that kind of opened my eyes about like the whole situation. This man, he had a friend in the ambulance, and he walked up to him, and the police officers like didn't have no hesitation and just shot him, and he died from that. And I feel like that was one of the most like impactful things for me, just because everyone said it was wrong, but their killer still got away, nothing. And that's kind of like how most of the cases go with these charges. Is like they kind of just get off scot-free. So
I will recommend this. If you like that documentary, there is a movie, I can't remember what it's called, but it's on Netflix. It's basically Groundhog Day, but like...
Oh, yeah, I know. He keeps waking up and seeing the police officer. Yeah, he's waking up
and getting shot by the officer. I can't remember what the name of the movie was, but it was so good, and the twist at the ending was so good, too. But...
No, I feel you. But, you know, we don't want to wrap off on a, you know, dark topic like this. So my honorable mentions for 2023, of course, you know, like I said, would be Spider-Man. It was just an amazing movie. Can't wait for part 2 to come out, hopefully soon. Probably Cocaine Bear. It was a funny classic. I thought it was kind of a little bit cheesy, but, you know, that's kind of most movies in Hollywood now.
You saw Mario, right, or no?
I personally did, and I didn't.
Aw. But all right then. So now we're gonna move on to our final movie, hosted by Clark.
I'll take it away from here. I'll be talking about The Holdovers, pretty recent release. This movie is starring Paul Giamatti, Dominic Sessa, and Divine Joy Randolph. Let's watch the trailer.
Think I want to be babysitting you? No, I was praying your mother would pick up the phone, or your father would arrive in a helicopter or a flying saucer.
My father's dead.
You don't tell a boy that's been left behind at Christmas that nobody wants him? What's wrong with you?
There's nobody here, okay? You stay out of my way, and I'll stay out of yours.
Let me sleep.
Now, most of the kids dislike you, pretty much hate you. Teachers too.
All right, that's the Holdovers. Basically, it's just like a good holiday drama about, you know, a kid that gets stuck over Christmas break with the worst teacher in the world.
Yeah.
But, you know, they end up finding out that they have a lot more in common as they spend that time together, and it's very touching. It blew me away when I saw it. I wasn't expecting much. My friend just wanted to see it with me, and, you know, here we are, and talking about it, one of my favorites of the year. I would definitely recommend this if you're watching this around time of recording, because it's a good Christmas movie. We're moving into that season. And yeah, I had the pleasure of seeing it in 35 millimeter at the Belcourt in Nashville. It has one of 5 places in, I believe, the country that was showing it in that aspect ratio. So it was an amazing experience.
Oh, you didn't go see it at your wonderful AMC theater?
Maybe I would have, but it's just got such a limited release, you know? Like,
that is true.
They hardly show it in any like of these big theaters, which is killer because it was so well made. More people deserve to see it.
It was one of the movies I planned on watching, but unfortunately it was an accident at our theater at Regal, so I couldn't watch it soon. I was hoping AMC was playing it, but I ended up watching Thanksgiving instead. So,
like the way you said it, I definitely agree upon it. It is definitely like a family classic holiday movie. The way they shot this movie was honestly astounding to me because it was based in the 1970s, and the way just how it looked, it definitely showed that you can. It feels like you're in the 70s with like all the small technology as we're coming up. We didn't have like 4K cameras to see every pixel on your face. So I definitely think there was a good with that. The 100%. Story of the movie, I kind of got lost of it, like in the middle of it, especially like with I don't know her name, but like the black lady's like.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Her like man got killed in the army. She kind of just like lost it, but
then her son get killed.
I'm pretty sure it was her husband.
Yeah, I thought it was her husband.
You might be right. I could be misremembering.
Well, I think it definitely does a good story. It has a good story to it. At first, I didn't really like the kid. I thought he was a little entitled. But just as it came to the climax, and we found out like his father is like in a mental institution, and he wants to spend time with like his family and everything, but he can't.
Yeah, and honestly, that reflects a lot on people who actually are going through that same situation as well. Who have a loved one that they really want to see, but they're either in a hospital, mental institution, or just out in general. Like they would really like to see them. I want to ask this: what do you guys think of Paul Giamatti's performance? Because honestly, I thought this was a solid performance from him. I don't think it's one of his greatest, but it is one of his good ones.
It's probably my personal favorite, I have to say. You know, I'm not too well versed in his filmography, but I mean, this one just blew me away. Out of everything I have seen him in, it looked like he like really transformed himself.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible what I saw from him.
I think.
No, sorry, go ahead.
I think he's a pretty good actor. Like you said, I don't really know his filmography. I know he like takes breaks from like acting in movies. I know him from Big Fat Liar.
Yeah,
Big Fat Liar.
Big Fat Liar.
Oh, it's Big Little. But yeah, he does a pretty good job of like expressing his emotions. You know, I wouldn't say he's stuck up, but he kind of doesn't like where he's at the prep school. And throughout the movie, he kind of realizes that, you know, there's joy in everything, as you know, live life as while you can.
Yeah. And it's actually funny that you brought up the fact that he takes a break from acting, because I didn't know that. I was actually going to bring up the fact that like I haven't actually seen him in a movie since Big Fat Liar, and honestly, that made me think of Brendan Fraser, because I haven't seen Brendan Fraser in a movie either since for like a hot while, since the Looney Tunes Back in Action, I think. And it's just like all these I'm not gonna call them old, but like older actors who were like big in like in early 2000s or mid 2000s, whenever their movies came out, they're kind of making a comeback kind of. And I like that. I want to see more of these performances because they're really good. I love Brendan Fraser in The Whale. Really good performance. Incredible. I loved it. And then Paul Giamatti in this, I liked it. Again, don't think it's one of his best, like one of his all-time best ones, but it was still a pretty good performance. So hopefully we can see more of that. As for, I'm forgetting about the kid's name.
Angus.
Angus, there we go, thank you. As for Angus, I liked it. I feel like he was kind of a little too much at times. As in kind of a little bit too much of a jerk.
Gotta give him some slack. I mean, his parents hate him and his dad's in a mental hospital and he's stuck at a boarding school he hates.
True, but I think for me it's because I watch a lot of stuff with kids like that. Like, I watch Camp, right? With Rooster Teeth. And one of the main characters in that, he's the same issue. His parents don't really care much about him either. I think, though, the difference is one's a lot worse. One's more of a jerk towards his mentors than Angus is to Paul Giamatti's character. And I just feel like maybe they could have toned him down just a tad bit more. But that's just me.
Hey, fair enough. But I actually did learn this when watching this movie. Dominic Sessa, who played Angus, this was actually his acting debut.
Oh, really?
Which is really impressive.
I feel like this is a good movie for him, so he'll definitely be in more other works.
Yeah, you'll definitely be hearing that name more often in the future.
Yeah.
I was actually going to bring that up too. Like he's most notable for like theater work, but being like you said, acting debut, that's actually like he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, it kind of sucks that this is at a limited theaters. Because honestly, if more theaters were out like this, his name would be blowing up.
100%. But as for movies, it's been an incredible year for 2023. I think we can all agree on that. Some of my other personal favorites, I also enjoyed, Oppenheimer. That was a huge release. The foreign film Close, that one was beautiful. If you can check that out whenever that hits streaming, wherever, that was amazing. I also loved Past Lives. I'm not big into romance, but that was incredible. And got to round it out, Spider-Man, just the best movie of the year overall.
Can't go wrong with it.
Sorry.
I wanted to add just a quick few honorable mentions. I just wanted to add Guardians 3. I completely forgot that came out this year. Best MCU movie we got this year because the rest of them are just not hitting. As well as Barbie.
Barbie was great.
I can't believe we forgot about that. But there's also Barbie. I did see Wish. It was not that great, but so go check it out. Other than that, No Hard Feelings was also a hit. But we're going to go ahead and just leave it there. So thanks again for watching this episode. And make sure to check out our final episode next week, the season finale. We're going to be covering our favorite Christmas specials. So catch you guys later.